Greetings, my beautiful audience. I am your girl, of course, your presenter, Sira. This is Generation Next, a youth movement platform geared towards inspiring, motivating, and directing young people's participation towards responsibilities in the developing society. We are working to raise awareness on issues and challenges the youth are faced with in order to effect a positive change. It is against this background we are always here every fortnight to make sure we keep the inspiration and the motivation. Of course, like I always say, when I come, I don't come alone. I make sure I bring in young people who are doing remarkably well in the Gambia, young people who are youth development tasty, young people who we cannot go without. And therefore today, ladies and gentlemen, my guest is a household name in the Gambia, and I'm sure by the time I finish his bio, you would have definitely know who I'm talking about. I present to you Mr. Baba Ceesay, who is the CEO and founder of the Balance Crew. He served as the country director of the Global Youth Parliament Gambia chapter and head of course, the Global Youth Parliament Gambia or the Global Youth Parliament Africa. Thus won the Best Leader Award, Global Youth Parliament in Nepal, Thailand. He has worked at GT Bank, Afronaut, and The Observer. Ceesay holds a BA in Public Administration and is a certified accounting technician. He hosts the TV program called The Balance Show on the national TV, GRTS, and chairs the Ecomancer Research Trip on agriculture and climate change. He also hosts a program on Capital FM advocating peace, harmony, and women's inclusion in politics. He also backed Black Belt in Taekwondo at YMCA. I know I didn't get it right, but ladies and gentlemen, okay, he would say that clearly. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Baba Ceesay.
All right, thank you very much. Of course, it's a pleasure to be here. Generation Next.
Right.
And of course, we're looking forward to it. Right. And my name is Baba Ceesay, as he rightly mentioned, the CEO and of course President of the Balance Crew, presently the Global Youth Parliament Africa chapter, as he rightly mentioned from that profile.
Right.
Yeah, so It's a pleasure to be here, and I hope we'll discuss more on what's going to happen to our generation.
Inshallah, of course, why not? That's why we're here.
Okay.
So, like I read, or like I said from the inception, Generation Next, the main motive, it's not to quickly look at what anybody is doing at current and be thrilled at that. Because I always say that anybody you see doing well today has a story. So therefore, our main objective is to find out how your humble beginnings were. If you can remember, of course, very important. School plays a very key role.
Yeah.
So from your school days, what can you remember?
Yeah, of course. If you go back to my school days, there's something about me in school days. I used to be always a leader. Right. I always have been simple because primary school I was the deputy head boy.
Okay.
And middle school I was the head boy. And then you come to Nusrat, I was a senior prefect.
Okay.
And then, of course, university still giving a role, chairman, Ecomancer trip.
Right.
And then, of course, most of the organizations also have role. Taekwondo Association in the Gambia, Masters Taekwondo Association, I'm the Secretary General.
Okay.
And then, of course, but still going back to your question, which is school days, is since when we are young, there's something that people recognize me of, and I can still remember that is a go-getter. I like achieving things. I like results. I always, still now is with me. Right. The genetic is still with me when it comes to getting results. Because I led the team when we were in middle school to do the first time in history, hits in Jarasoma, and I did very well, and our team extremely did well for the first time in history of that particular school in Quinala. Okay. And then, it was something that I can still remember, and then the headmaster would tell me that you told us you're going to get the results, and you did. I told the headmaster, look, when it comes to the results, it's about that. Academic is the same thing. The same thing in middle school. In primary school, I used to take force all the time in my class, but when I come to middle school, there was different school from different villages. So combined there, and then yes, I took second in the first round, and I cried. I can remember that was the first year. Yeah, grade 7. I don't like second. I always like first. Okay. I always like to take first. So that year when I took second, I was crying in my class, and then my teacher was saying, "You are crazy. People are looking for your position, and you are here crying." You understand? And then I told, no, I don't like this position anymore. I'm not going to. So the second term I took first. That simply tells you that that energy of getting things is in me.
Yeah.
But you see, that has to do with what you want to be tomorrow. What do you want to be tomorrow? Because if you want to be in the middle of great person or being among them or be part of them, you have to be having that. You have to have that energy in you, whereby when you believe in something, you do it, because people want to see results. It's not about talking now anymore. People want to see results. If you go to other countries, they've even changed the narrative. It's not about the academic you get. It's about what you can do. You understand that? So what can you do? It's part of your strength. It's part of your belief, and that is something that has been with me since when I was young at the primary school level. I hated sports department, hits, that is athletic department, football. I'm always in the middle of this thing. Anything that debate, drama, I'm always. It was only Nusrat when I came. Nusrat have this genetic format of when you come in there, you became an academician. It's like if your main agenda is to get results, you don't have more time for sports and other things. You understand that? So you focus purely on academic. So Nusrat, I was purely focusing on my academic. We did well, and we graduated with good grades. Get to the ACCA and then university. So basically, it was a lot. But throughout my school, period from primary school to middle school, it's all have to be leader. It's all about leadership. It's all about leadership, leading, getting results, leading, getting results. And that has been in me.
Obviously, well, it's clear. Even from the way you talk, you can see that. But I am someone that believes that, well, there are others that are innate. That is, they were born with whatever quality that they tend to find themselves doing. But of course, sometimes it's either you've got someone who inspired you. It could be either your mother. It could be either your father. It could be either from the society you grew up in. So what would you say, or how would you say that go-getter, that leadership role, perhaps has immensely inbuilt in yourself? Would you say that perhaps it's your mother that actually pushed you at one way or the other, or your father?
Of course, parents would definitely have impact on you. My mother has one impact in me. That's kindness. Yes, I have that in me, because my mother naturally is kind. Whatever you give her, she will give it away. You understand that? And I was having that habit. It became even a problem that sometimes I give out. Just today, I give out until I was touching my pocket, and I realized that, okay, I've given out all of my money. You understand that? It's in me. And that kindness, sometimes it became a problem, because you see certain things, I would just do it. People say, but Baba, you slap me. I said, no, just leave it, let it go. You understand that? So that I learned from my mom. My father is kind of a lion type. He's kind of a lion type, sort of. He's more of look, what's supposed to be done, let it be done. You understand? And don't
principles.
He's a principled man, and he will tell me, okay, you know what? When you are out there, don't let people disrespect you. Always try to show them that, look, you are a genuine person and you don't take nonsense from anybody. But of course, my father was that lion type. He doesn't take those kind of things from anybody. So I learned that from him too. But of course, most of the things that I also learned that really give me strength is the problem that I face in my society. Okay, because as growing up as young, you face a lot of problems. Okay, what I learned a lot is when people said you cannot do this. Or people underrate you. That has taught me a lot in terms of my strength. I always try to prove people wrong. When you said, there are people that, they kind of look like an enemy to you, but they are not enemies. I used to say, look, there are people that say things, you think they hate you. They don't hate you. Maybe they think there's something in you still cannot produce. So sometimes when people underrate me, I prove them wrong at several points in time, and that makes me who I am today. I always like to prove people wrong. I always see problems and people will say, okay, this problem cannot be solved. That's why I told many youth that we can solve the problem. I always believe that. I said, I know we have a lot of problem in the Gambia, but we can solve it. It's possible if you believe it. That's why I always keep saying, if you believe it. I believe it, and I hope most youth out there believe it. What is left is to reduce the talking and do the work. You understand? Because without work, nothing happens. You understand? And that is one thing about me. I like results. I can talk, but when it comes to doing work, I want to see the results. I want the work to talk itself. You understand? And that is one strength in me. And I learned it from problems. I keep telling you, I learned from problems from my society. My father passed away when I was very young. And then the support is there. Of course, the support was not there, it was lacking. But of course, I have a support from my brother who paid my school fees.
Okay.
Then you grow in a community whereby people teach you, look, you need to earn for yourself. That is a great thing for anybody who has that opportunity. That's an opportunity.
Right.
When you find yourself in a place whereby people said, we don't have much food to eat, or you have to earn for yourself, it teaches you, strength of believing in yourself.
Right.
If you want to give up, then you definitely collapse. And nobody wants to collapse. You want to get there. So if you find yourself in a situation of such, if you learn from it and you succeed from it,
Right.
definitely, it's a strength for you. It's like an achievement for you, and it's going to take you far. It's just like somebody who works in a banking department from the beginning,
Right.
and been there for 10 years. That
Right.
person has experience in banking.
Yeah.
So for me, I have experience on breaking the gaps. That's one thing,
Obviously.
yes.
Obviously.
And that happened since when I was young. So I learned that from people. I learned that from problems.
Right.
And if you combine them together, you say, look, I live in a society that there are a lot of problems.
Right.
And when there are a lot of problems, there are a lot of opportunities. So I'm not a loser, and I'm not going to lose, but I'm going to get it. And that's exactly what I do, yes.
Obviously. And when there are a lot of problems, you grow, because then the next time you want to do anything, then you realize that because of that constraint, that problem that happened, it would have taught you a lesson.
Yeah.
But I am also someone who is of the belief that the main challenge I would say that some of us do face is that public speaking, we find that to be really difficult. And knowing you now and knowing you back at school days, I'm sure the first time you happened to stand in public to speak, it wasn't an easy journey for you.
Yes.
Can you take us through that experience?
Yeah, it's public speaking is another level. You understand? Your first time facing a crowd,
Right.
it's like it's like you're seeing a lion coming towards you.
Right.
So you start trembling and shaking.
Right.
But that is it. That's what we call experience. When you don't touch something or you don't make a mistake, you will not learn.
Right.
You will not be perfect. You see, perfection only happens when you keep learning from your mistakes.
Right.
You understand? That's where you want to head into perfection, because no man is perfect and no man shall always be perfect. Like perfection is only to the prophet, like what I believe, what I learned. You understand? It's only to the prophet Muhammad. And then at the end of the day, if those people are so unique and God has given them the perfection, now God is now asking you to learn to be perfect.
Yeah.
Now, how do you learn to be perfect? It's for you to test the field. You have to test the field. Like somebody said, I want to be a public speaker, but I don't know how. So it's very simple. Just go there and do mistakes.
Right.
Run mistakes, because those mistakes will teach you perfection. And then you learn from those mistakes, and you became, one day it will be like water for you. Like you are interviewing me, I'm not even panicked.
Right.
I learn it, because from day one, if I tell you, when I can remember the first time I appeared on media,
Yeah.
the mic was like this. You understand that, huh? The mic, but today you give me the mic, I'm like, okay, you know what, So it's because I learned through the process,
Right.
and I was willing to learn through the process.
Right.
And if you, from the day one, you will definitely feel panic, you will definitely make mistake. But if you think that panic, that mistake is a stumbling block for you, and you are ready to give up, you will not make it. Trust me. So for you to make it, you got to break that stumbling block. Said, well, I made a mistake, but I'm ready to go forward.
Okay.
I'm willing to move forward. And that's exactly what makes somebody a better person in the society.
Yeah, I think that's a really great one. I think oftentimes what scares most of us is when the mistake is committed.
Yeah.
When I've stood there and I've spoken and I shivered.
Yeah.
What people are going to say.
Yeah,
What
that's
would
that's
people
lack
think
of confidence. Like, for example, I used to tell people, I said, look, not everybody wants you to be this. So it's not about people, it's about you and your society. Because the society has culture, it has a way of moral behavior. So if you contact yourself within that context, it is not about the people, because people will always say their opinions. They're not within you. They don't sleep with you every day.
Right.
They don't eat with you every day. They don't know everything about you. So whatever they say, consider it as an opinion. You understand? But if you consider it as even people are saying it, then you will never move on. And they will not worry. They will not even notice that you are not moving on. They just say their opinion. So I consider people's thought as opinion. And I say, look, you know what? I'm going to take their opinions and put them into positive, negative critics. The negative one, I remove them. The positive one, I absorb them and I move forward. But I will not stop doing it just because of people. Because if you do that, then you will never move, because people will always talk. People will always comment. People will always criticize you. For me, even though some people say I'm very good, there are other people that are saying he's not the best. He's nothing, he's this and that. But of course, that's what makes you better. because others will say these things, others will say this thing, but then you don't have to stop believing what you are doing. Keep believing it, keep doing it, and then one day all those people will say, wow.
Obviously.
Because I did it in one of my programs.
Right.
The TTF is one of them.
Yeah.
People are saying, how is that possible? Yeah, I don't think it's possible. But then I can tell you this.
That is the television trade fair.
I told somebody who was trying to discourage me, and I told him, look, let me make this very clear. I said, look, I like positive critics, but what you are giving me is negative critic, that this is not possible. I'll prove you wrong. The person called me after the program. He was like, wow. And that's how you earn respect in the society.
Right.
When people don't believe it, you prove them wrong, and they will respect you.
Right.
You see, now, certain things you do, people say, okay, I think Baba can do it. Because they don't believe it. And now I prove them wrong. So obviously, if they have something of that magnitude, and they want it to happen, they will call you to come and do it, because they believe in you already.
Yeah.
So make people believe in you, but don't let people let you down, because they are not with you every day. They don't know what you are. They don't know who you are. They don't know the strength you have. Every human being, if you are out there, every human being has a strength that God has gifted you. So you got to use it at the right time.
Obviously. I'm being inspired.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would take you back a bit again, because our main focus has to also do with the grassroots level.
Yeah.
I always say, or I'm a fan that says that extracurricular activities also help to mold you. Of course, you've been part of so many extracurricular activities, but if you can take us through also, what were some of the extracurricular activities you were part in back in school days, but also because the educational part you're mentioning, I'm sure at some point you've had people talk about you, negatively back in school days.
Yeah.
How has that also helped? Because you've mentioned that negative comments does help you to push you as well.
Yeah.
But how did you feel at first instant having to hear, that is if you do any of those back in school days? How does that make you?
Yeah, so to answer your question, first, back in school days, I used to get into a lot of sporting activities,
Right.
debate, leadership. Like I told you, I was the deputy head boy at middle school, senior prefect at Newsrat. You understand that? And then, of course, everywhere. So I involved in so many social activities. Fantastic. There's one thing about me, and I will tell you this. When I live in the society, I'm not selfish. I don't look at myself only. I could have do that. I could have said, look, you know what? I'm not doing any of this work. Like others will do, they're to themselves. Like everything they do is themselves.
Self-centered.
They want to say, okay, look, I'm going to focus on my education. I'm going to do everything. I don't care about the society, whatever the society is. But the society lives in you, and you live in the society. So you either work for the society or the society work for you. You understand it? So either you affect the society or the society affects you. So whatever the case is, as far as you are growing up, you must consider your society. What can I give back to my society? Now, what can I give back to my country is a long journey. But what can you give back to your community? What can you give back to your school? What can you give back to the society, environment you live in? That's a good starting point for you.
Right.
And that makes you part of what we call education. Education is not only about books. It's about knowing people. It's about being with people. Now, at some point in time, you have these dreams. You work for the society. Yes, others would not like it. People, one thing about people is like, what I cannot do, I don't want to see anybody doing it.
Right.
That's natural human being. That's why they said human beings are naturally selfish. So we have that envy portion in us.
Yeah.
So, and that was the reason why I mentioned earlier that the prophet is perfect God. That portion was removed from him.
Right.
So we have that natural selfish in us. So as far as it appears to you now, how do you now work? How do you use it as an opportunity? I used to tell people, when people hate you, it's an opportunity for you.
Yeah.
When people speak bad against you, it's an opportunity for you. Now, how do you make this an opportunity for you? It's for you to now realize that, look, my goals and objective is to move forward. But what they are saying is not good for me moving forward.
Right.
So why would I listen to somebody saying negative things about me? Why would I listen to somebody who is saying, you're not going to reach there? Why would I listen to that person? You understand that? I'll prove him wrong. So I would say, okay, thank you very much. I heard you, but I'll prove you wrong. So I use it as an opportunity.
Right.
Now, if somebody comes and said, okay, you know what, Baba, you're doing great, but I want you to be very careful with these stones.
Yeah.
So remove it in this manner. Because if you remove it this manner, it will fall in this. I will say, okay, that's a positive critics.
Right.
That one you absorb.
Right.
But negative critic, you don't absorb, you repel them and prove them wrong. You understand? So that is how I conquer those kind of stuff.
Right.
Now, people who listen to negative critics, most likely they are naive people.
Okay.
When you listen to negative comments all the time, and then people say this, that, and you say, okay, you know what, people are saying, I'm leaving it. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
What you are doing today is good. But if somebody said, hey, you're not good in this, you're not good in that's a negative critics. Why will you listen to the person? So you repel it. You tell the person, I heard you, but I'll prove you wrong.
Right.
Don't even argue with the person because you already know his motive. You understand that? So, but people whom you know that they observe that, you go on stage as a public speaker, people just say, you made a mistake. Oh my God, Ravis, oh, hey, look at this one, he's not it. And then you said, I stopped. I'm not going to do it again for the rest of my life. That's naive. That means you are naive to yourself and you lack confidence.
Right.
You understand? And for you to build in the future will be very difficult. And for people to entrust you with assets or with societal problems, it's not safe. It's even a suicide
Right.
for the society.
Right.
Because he's that person that if somebody just point fingers, collapse. So once he collapses, whatever responsibility you give him, he will collapse with it. So for me, my friend, criticize me continuously. But I'll tell you, I have a bag. I put them, the negative ones, I put them in the black bag. The good one, I put them in the white bags, absorb them, and move forward. But you cannot stop me from moving. That's one thing about me.
Obviously.
I move, unless if you take a knife and you cut my head. But even that, I will move in my graves.
Obviously. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Well, in your discussion, you mentioned that there is a problem. I like to believe you mentioned something like that. And knowing you now, knowing Mr. Baba Ceesay, knowing what you're engaged in, take us through. What do you think is the problem, and why are you being so engaged now with young people?
Yeah, if you look at Gambia, let us be very honest. You see, there are a lot of problems around, true or false.
True.
Yes. That problem is an opportunity. Gambians don't understand opportunity. You see, in Europe, they have developed their country until now they don't have problems. Now, that means they don't have much opportunities because there's nothing to do. There's nothing much to do. But where there is much to do, that's a good opportunity. You see, and we need to exploit it. How do we exploit it? Is to give our youth chance. Now, let me say this. I'm going to throw this to the government of the Gambia.
Right.
The Gambia is a highly youth populated. Like, let's say from the age of 13 to 35. These are youthful population. These are the people, most of them 18 who vote.
Yeah.
These are the people, most of them that you found in offices. Today, when I walk in here, most of the people I see, they are youths.
Yeah.
Now, that is a big natural resources. How do you mold these natural resources and make them productive? That's a problem in this country. And why? Is because many youths will tell you we lack support. Am I not right?
Right.
You keep hearing that.
Right.
Yeah, it is true they lack support, but there's something that they also lack, self-belief. They don't believe in themselves. So at the side of the youth themselves, they lack that self-belief. Now let's come down to the parents. The parents also, they mold us. Now look at a Senegalese and a Gambian. If you put a Senegalese forward, you put a Gambian forward, you see the Senegalese will go, even though he doesn't know how to use that water, he will use the water.
Right.
But Gambian will say, no, our parents said it's not good. See, that's how they brought us in our society.
Right.
Now, how do you get yourself out of that bondage? Is because it's a bondage, It makes you limit yourself. It contrasts you not to understand your inner belief or inner strength and inner talent. At some point in time, definitely no. So it contrasts you. Now, how do you get out of that? That's the problem too. So that's why you hear some people say, we are going to conduct a public speaking class because we want people to be confident of themselves.
Right.
That's one solution.
Right.
And conducting that, you might have projects, fundings, and everything. You understand that? Is that not an opportunity?
Right.
You understand that? Now, some people will say, okay, you know what? Like Senegalese did. The youths come by and said, look, you know what? We should stop importing these chickens because we don't know where these chickens are coming from.
Yeah.
They come together and they solve the problem. Today, you don't import chicken in Senegal.
Wow.
True or false?
Wow.
Yes, that's one thing. They work together. So in the Gambia too, there are a lot of problems. One of the problems is employment. Youths are not having employment. Now, how do we work to make sure that these youth get problem? Because offices that we are believing in, because there are not much investors.
Right.
And then the SMEs, now, we don't have much investors. So what do? You re-strategize to push the youths in the SME sector. Now, instead of you pushing them to the SME sector, you are saturating the place. Meaning you are allowing other countries' youths to come in who have semi-skill, and some of them don't even have skill, to venture into those areas.
Right.
Now, if those country men come, then what's happened is that they will saturate the system. So your youth, there's not much investors, companies to absorb them in as employment. There's much opportunity, not big opportunity for them in the market too. So where do you get them? This is where the problem lies. And that is a big problem because youth will now start getting frustrated. And then the other problem also government is not solving is that you allow a lot of cheap drugs. There are alcohols out there that they are selling $15. Now youths can get easy access to these things. Now if they get easy access to this thing and they're utilizing drug and there's not much, revolving of course, changing the policy regarding the laws with law that will guide the use of drug in this country. So what are you now saying? You're not telling us youth that now that you are frustrated, go and take drug. Maybe that will help. And that's never going to help. They understand it. And these are all problems that are combined together. And if you don't solve it, first, the government need to look around their policies that surround about foreign youths that are coming in. First, stop them from coming in. Investors, fine, they can come build companies and we have more employment. But youths that are coming in to tap into the SMEs, stop them. Get youths that are into the transport sector, let's say only Gambians. You need to prioritize your youths in your own economy. If not, they will fail here.
Obviously.
You understand? And you don't want your own products to fail in your own country.
Obviously.
And that's another problem the government needs to solve. Then the second thing they need to do, put laws that will guide the use of drugs, so that youths will stop using drugs and reduce it drastically. So that at the end of the day, we'll have youth, sensible youth. Because if youths take this drug, they lose their cognitive brains and then they don't think wisely. They think wisely because they feel it. They feel the strength. So all these things are problems surrounding for us to solve. Now, how do we solve this problem is for government to have very good strategy. And there is what we have, what we call wisdom. And this is where many people fail to realize in the Gambia. When leaders fail to have wisdom, they definitely cannot create ideas for problems. They will never create solution to any problems.
Right.
And here, I have to be very honest, and I'm saying this with honesty. Most of our leaders are not honest. And when you are not honest, you cannot have wisdom. That's as simple as that.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm carried away already. Now, it's important having established some of these problems and, of course, having involved the government, because I like to believe that we all play a role in the development of the young people. But of recent, I've been following, and I'm sure the whole nation have been following the television trade fair that you've organized, of course, being the CEO of the Balance Crew.
Yeah.
And now how is this helping the young people of this nation?
Television trade fair is one of the solutions to the problem that I've mentioned. Because most youths don't have, offices are now flooded. Like you go to offices, they tell you, no, we are full, we cannot take staffs anymore, we are cutting costs. So at the end of the day, you must create an idea that will employ more youths. Now, the television trade fair is just like a normal trade fair, but in the sense you put it on TV and then you involve the youths to come up with their ideas, their business ideas. Now, these business ideas that they are coming up with, what we do now, we scout out investors and people that will support them. You understand that? And this will come and sit down and listen to you. So we also have other youth that will be on the canteen that will compete for investors, loan, and the cars we have for them.
Right.
We have other youths that will be exhibiting around the television trade fair that will be selling. And, beautifully, most of them that brought their goods and they were exhibiting and selling, they sold a lot of their goods.
Wow.
So it also served like a market for them. Because if youths have businesses and there's not much market for them, to sell their product. That's why I told you our Serekunda market is saturated.
Right.
And majority of the people in Serekunda are not Gambians.
Right.
You understand that? You go to other markets, they are saturated too. You understand that?
Right.
So they don't have a market to sell their product. What happened? They will close their business. So even the television trade fair serves as a market for them. It also serves as an opportunity for them to meet different partners, for them to meet opportunities like investors. The Ireland investors, Mr. Kennedy, is going to invest in 2 of them. And then the Minister of Trade said he was so impressed and happy he's going to support all of them. Neri also said they are going to avail them easy access to the loan if they want to get it, which is the revolving funds. Now, that is one thing that we can definitely look around. And also, the television trade fair is about to bridge what we call the gap of information. Now, many youths will tell you that, look, what are you saying? When you tell them that there's a fund for you, they will say, I've never heard of it. Now, the television trade fair will have what we call the job fair and the information center. Now, anytime the television trade fair is on, all the opportunities that is meant for the youth of this country, it will be pronounced there. So the next one, you don't want to miss that.
Right.
It will be pronounced and then we will also inform you
Right.
who are responsible and how can you even get access to it.
Right.
And that simply makes it a trade fair,
Right.
whereby even youths that are outside can even benefit. So if you are a youth out there, get to the information, because information is powerful. It can make you a great person tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Mr. Baba Ceesay.
Yes.
We will draw the curtain here due to time. However, it has been a pleasure. We are happy that you graced this occasion, and I'm sure the young person that is watching it's like thanking you at this moment.
Yeah.
And dear viewers, that's where we draw the curtain for this week's edition. Until we come your way again, I remain your presenter, Sarah John, and Mohammed. Thank you so much always for being there to make sure that Generation Next is live to our beautiful audience. Until we come your way again, it's a bye from the Generation Next team. Thank you.
Thank you very much.